Good evening and welcome to the April 26th meeting of the Grafton Public Schools. Don't adjust your screens. I'm not Amy Marr tonight. She unfortunately is home with an illness, so I'm stepping in as chair, and we wish her good health. So first on the agenda, is anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, I'm very excited to move to our first agenda topic, which are our science fair, recent science fair winners from Grafton High School. So I'm going to invite our first team up, and I want to especially thank, while they're getting ready, Mr. Kelleher and the Grafton High School Science Department for supporting this. And I'll ask you gentlemen to please each state your names, and if you can just give a brief overview of what you did. We would love to hear it. And I do thank you for coming in. As I was saying, this was my request, and it's just exciting to see. All right. Perfect.
We'll go over the trifold later if we have time. That's just for you to see. We'll start with the PowerPoint.
Perfect. If you want to sit so we can hear you on the microphone. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming. All right, you want to start with your names and grade?
I'm a sophomore at Grafton High School. This is Jack Zarin.
My name is Joseph Salib, and I'm also a sophomore at Grafton High School.
I'm a sophomore as well, and my name is Harshit Nokla.
Our project is on the energy transfer of potential energy to electrical energy. So what kind of got us into this is discovering not exactly trying to solve a world problem, but more of trying to find a solution. And we thought to do that through physics. So we thought of the overuse of fossil fuels that hurt the environment. So we thought, how can we use this by utilizing potential energy and converting that into electricity? Some of the questions that guided us throughout this was how to generate electricity through renewable energy means, how can we control the amount of electricity produced, and how can we control the resistance factor. All these questions led us into our hypothesis was, if we add more weight and height to the pulley system, then we could probably generate more electricity because there's more potential energy created and being used.
Cool.
So, there's a lot of research that went into this. For the sake of time, since we only have 5 minutes, I won't explain everything, but apart from what's there, things that were really important is, of course, what is electricity and what is electromagnetic induction. So what electromagnetic induction is the movement of electrons in an electromagnetic field, and that's what causes the motor when it spins to turn into a generator and create electricity. So these ones here are like the more important parts of the research. So torque, which is showed by length times force, it's a twisting force, and that's what causes rotation. So gear ratios played a huge part in this, small to large for torque, large to small for RPM. This is gear to gear. Volts, it's the units for the amount of force or push a current has, and amps is the measurement for the amount of current. Potential energy is the energy being held by an object because of its position, and kinetic energy is the energy that an object possesses while it's in motion. So work is when external force causes some sort of displacement, meaning some force causes one thing to move from one place to another. Energy is the ability to do work, and power is the rate at which work is done.
To start, we thought that we needed a foundation in order to lay out all of the parts of our project. So we first thought to do this through a triangle-shaped pyramid, and more of to hang the project from the top. But we thought this to be more inefficient, and rather than use a prism, so we'd have a more solid base and more solid structure. Inside the space, we would be placing a flywheel, which is a mechanism that stores energy. So as it's moving, it's able to keep on going. We have a motor, sprockets, and chains. The wheel and motor, they were placed away from each other, from the sprockets, and so that the chain could drop freely without any obstruction, so we could drop the weight. As well as we leveled both the flywheel and the sprocket, so we would be dealing with a lighter force, a horizontal force, in opposition to an angled force, pulling on vertical and horizontal.
So basically, we started to build the prototype model. Our first like prism structure, as you like, it's different from this one. This is the final product, but the first one had like things that were wrong with it. So we had like a foundation to lay everything off of, but then we began to fill the interior with like all the major parts that Jack had mentioned, the sprockets, the generators, and the chains and all that. And then after we had this stuff in place, we connected the circuits to a light bulb to see like if electricity could be produced and if how much. So then we started to test to see if our theory or hypothesis was correct. So we measured our electricity through like two forms. We used two multimeters. One measured voltage and the other measured amps. So amps is the current happening inside the circuit, and the voltage is the pressure of the physical current. When we multiply both, we get watts, which is like a measurement of how much electricity is being produced. So when we repeat the same procedure at like a lower height, we realized that it would like be different than if we produce it from a higher height. So we decreased it by 1 foot to make it like the same.
This is a little short video that we recorded while making the project.
So I had to hold it there because we hadn't put in any safety yet. So this is before we actually like put in ropes and like a guide to make sure it wouldn't just drop and like it'd slip off the sprocket. So I'd also like to, if you go back one slide, I'd like to elaborate on something. Backward. So what we were trying to prove was potential energy could be converted to electrical energy. So when we decrease the height, a factor of potential energy is height and mass. So we've like kept changing the amount of weight to increase and decrease potential energy as well as the amount of height, because we wanted to be able to prove that a higher amount of potential energy is what caused a higher amount of electrical energy. So based on our tests, we not only proved that potential energy could be converted to electrical energy, but also that an increase in potential energy can cause an increase in electrical energy. We know this because when we increased the weight, we got more volts, and when we decreased the height, we got less volts. So we also learned that we could control the resistance by manipulating the RPM and the gear ratios, because when you have a higher gear ratio for more torque, it's harder to pull, because one of the problems we face is we had too high of a gear ratio, and I could like hang on the chain with my entire body weight, and it wouldn't move.
Wow. Cool.
There's just too much friction.
That leads us into our redesign. Just as Harsis was saying, this is how it looked like on the right, where it was an angled force, versus how we redesigned it on the left, where we brought it to a horizontal force.
So basically what an angled force is that sprocket is spinning the wheel, and when it's at an angled force, it's the equivalent of being pulled on from both a vertical and horizontal force, which causes a lot more resistance and friction, whereas opposed to if you had like just a horizontal pull, the resistance would be cut in half. So that was a problem we faced, and we had to fix that because, like I said, it wouldn't budge.
Thanks everyone for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
No, just thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great job. How did you come up with this project? What was the?
We were originally we thought of just getting like electricity from cardio systems, just from like the movement in like a treadmill, just convert that into a generator. But we thought we could just make it more interesting and do it with weights, because just something in like a gym equipment,
Yeah.
just related to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for coming. Great job.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Great presentation. All right. Next up, if you will do the same and introduce yourselves and state what grade you are in. sophomores really kind of brought it to the science fair, it seems.
We lost in homecoming, so we had to do something.
Yeah, yeah. Team Orange.
Sorry. Sorry, my iPad isn't.
No, don't worry about it. It always feels like it takes longer than it actually is. Great.
Okay, so I'm Maggie McLean, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Rohita Nukala, and I'm also a sophomore.
I'm Avery Rosenfield, and I'm also a sophomore.
So we did effects of protists on plant growth. So throughout, in order to develop and execute our experiment, we followed the scientific method. So the first thing that we had to do was ask a question. So our mutual interest in biology and relationships between organisms and environments, we asked the question of how do different amounts of protists added to soil affect plant growth? So protists are microorganisms that are found in all different environments. So after some research, we decided to use the protist Amoeba proteus, and that's just a type of protist that's found in water and wet soils.
And for our plant, we decided to use watercress, and we used it because it grows quickly, and that was an essential part because of our timeline. And it also does well in well-watered environments as well, like the amoeba, so it was really beneficial to us. So our research led us to our hypothesis, which is if watercress has varying amounts of amoeba in its soil, then the watercress with the highest concentration of amoeba will experience the most growth because the protists give the plants extra nutrients. So for our procedure, we basically planted 4 pots, and in our first pot we had no amoeba in it for our control plant, and then in pot 2 we placed 1 milliliter of the amoeba, and we just kept on increasing it for our total of 4 pots, and we repeated this procedure 3 times to have a total of 12 plants. And we basically just tested the growth of the tallest sprout in each pot over 4 weeks, and we compared the results in our data tables.
So these data tables show the measurement in height of each plant over the course of about 2.5 weeks. And then we took the average of all these measurements to make this graph. And as you can see, the green line, which is pot D, which is also the plant that has the highest amount of amoebas, ended up growing the tallest, which supported our hypothesis.
So in the end, after doing our experiment, we are interested to keep furthering our knowledge on this because the data supported our hypothesis, so we want to figure out more ways to see how other protists would affect the growth, or if different amounts, more wider varying amounts would affect it. So yeah, that's it.
Great.
Oh wait, we also have
One more.
some pictures.
Oh, nice.
So these are different pictures.
So the first picture shows one of our sets. So we labeled it 1A for set A, and A is the control plant. And then the second picture shows all 12 of our plants. And then this was taken the night that we planted it, and then this was during the 2.5 weeks that they were growing.
Great. Any questions? No. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
And am I mistaken, or were you the overall winner? Of the-
Yes.
Very well. Very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. All right, and we have one final presentation. once you connect, or if you're connecting, I'll ask you to just do the same, introduce yourselves and what grade, and then can go through.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a senior.
I'm Cora. I'm also a senior.
I'm Helen, and I'm also a senior. Let's see. Okay.
Do you want to flip the first slide? So we wanted to focus on a current issue, and that was an issue we found back in November after the Astroworld tragedy, which was a large music festival that was standing room only. At the event, there was a crowd crush, and a lot of people died from it. And what we identified was that the main problem with that festival is that there was a lack of communication between the medical personnel working the event and the people in the crowd. They couldn't talk to one another, so that when people got injured, the medical personnel didn't know how to help them.
So the system with medical staff and communication currently works on a walkie-talkie system. So they'll have radios where they'll try to communicate through those, and it doesn't really work very effectively because at large and loud events you can't hear walkie-talkies very well, and also you can't really tell what injuries. Oh, I did not want that to happen. What injuries that people in the center of the crowd are having if the medical personnel don't know it's already happening.
So our app design was formatted to be an app that you download upon arrival at the concert or prior to the concert, and the goal is for the user to submit a medical report and help the medical staff identify the location of the emergency. So the event would hypothetically be divided up into separate sections, if this room was divided up front and back half, section 1 and 2, for example. Then the user might log into the app, and the first thing that you would select is, you can see up there we have select location of emergency on the trifold. So you'd say maybe you're in section 1. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So you're in section 1, and then right in that box, the submit box, you can type what happened, maybe broken ankle or dizzy, or something, and submit it. So when this pops up on the medical staff screen, they'll see an injury report, and they will see the location of it, so they'll know where to report to and what stuff to bring. The SOS slider is for a life-threatening situation, God forbid someone hit their head and is bleeding or something like that. And then you slide it, and it sends a report that says the section and just SOS. So it lets the medical staff know that that situation has priority over the other ones. And that specifically was because at the event, a lot of the problem with the radio communication system was injuries were getting reported by word of mouth, and medical staff didn't know the severity of an injury, and they didn't know what to bring to help with it. And on the medical staff's end, the idea would be that they log into the system, and it has a spreadsheet of all of the reports popping up in the section.
And so essentially what we presented at the fair was that in addition to the interface you just saw, we had it working on our phones. We had a prototype. And so what we did was we had Cora pretend to be the injury, and we had the judge type in whatever injury that they chose, and then I would get an alert on my phone, being the medical personnel, that would show the injury. And essentially that eliminates the guesswork of medical personnel knowing what equipment to bring in, because they know exactly what the injury is.
Yep. And some future modifications we were thinking about was having this app have priority signal so that you wouldn't have to worry about cell service. And we were going to streamline the reporting and have add the spreadsheet, as Cora said, and make it just more user friendly so that it's really easy to use.
Right, so the current way we had the app running was when you hit the submit button, it was going through to a pre-assigned phone number that maybe the medical personnel would be given this phone for their section. But in the future, we would hope to make it all upload to a cloud database so that the user sends it up, it goes into this database, then the medical staff's, and it would be pulled down and get sorted so that the SOS ones were all at the top, and it would get put into a spreadsheet so they can see everything at once and what they need to attend to.
Okay. We have conclusions, but we kind of said everything. And any questions?
Any questions?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's really
That's
impressive.
great.
And a possible moneymaker.
Yeah.
Right? So that's terrific. Well, thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's just really great to see all this innovation and collaboration and presentation. So thank you. And I won't make you all gather for a photo. But, Mr. Keller?
I just wanted to add, we should have gotten started in October. We didn't get started until January. So this is a result of a lot of work between January and April.
Wow.
They did
Wow.
a great job.
Yeah, no, all around. I'm really impressed. Thank you, and thanks for representing Grafton so well. Appreciate it. And you are, of course, welcome to stay, but you are, of course, welcome to leave. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. All right, and next up, we have Lisa Rice, who's going to present our summer programming update. Get to follow that.
I know exactly. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to load my computer. Never mind.
I should have it.
Thank you so much.
There it is. Look at that.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to the days when, like, you'd blindfold yourself and say, which one's Coke and which one's Pepsi? I mean, that's unbelievable.
Like make a solar system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Right?
I know, like, they should be on Shark Tank.
Yeah. Well, you have to have a lot before you get to Shark Tank.
You have to have what?
You have to have like a lot already. They don't like
Oh.
to just fund you. I watch a lot of Shark Tank.
I do too. I love it. Friday nights. That's how boring
that
my
was
life
great.
is. Yeah.
That was some preparation. We could have been acting like the Sharks. Okay, well, we won't act like the Sharks.
Well, I appreciate you all having me in to highlight our summer 2022 programming for our enrichment and for our Title I students, and I am excited to share some of the things that we're doing for our ELL students as well. So just as a reminder, most of you know that our summer enrichment program is a collection of programs that we offer our students to allow for educational-based enrichment during the summer. This year, this is actually year 3, even though we started in 2019, we took a year off for COVID, so this is year 3 for us. We are running our programming July 11th through the 14th, so we offer 4 weeks of programming, Monday through Thursday. What's really exciting is we have 22 unique different programs this year that we're offering for our students. Last year we only had 14. So it's really exciting to see that number grow. We have 47 programs or slots because some of those programs are being offered multiple times, multiple sessions. And that's, again, up 10 programs, 10 different slots from last summer. And then as of April 22nd, 19 out of our 47 programs are running. And some are very, very close. We need like 1 or 2 more students. 8 students is our minimum in order to run a program. And we have 155 unique students registered for the program. So I think that's really exciting to see that we're reaching that many families. Here are the programs that we have. You'll recognize some of our favorites. All of our cooking classes are back. Kids Bop, our crafts, Ocean Fun, Fitness Fun, but this year we're also added Junior World Traveler for our, 4th to 6th graders, just to give them something a little different to do. We have band for our middle school. It's one of our only middle school programs that we're offering, but we have band, we have a coding club going on, and a board game program that seems very, very popular as well. So I want to thank the teachers who are offering this and their willingness to work over the summer. That's they pitched the idea, they wrote the program guide idea for us, really planned thorough and really fun programs for our kiddos. So that's our summer enrichment. Our summer bingo and passport is back. And this is, for those of you who don't know, this takes the place of like our summer reading. We want to not just say, just go and read all summer long. We want to say, continue learning all summer long. So we have the passport for our incoming kindergartners who will be welcoming to school in the fall and our first graders. And prizes include, like, you can fill up as many bingo sheets as you want, send them in, and you can have lunch with the principals. So that's always exciting. Everyone who participates gets small prizes, pencils, bookmarks. We also then move into our summer passport, and I have to thank Nicole Bless, our parent volunteer, who is our graphic designer. She has taken it over. I provide her the content, and she works some magic, and it always looks fantastic. Thank you to her. Our South's PTO and North's PTG sponsors, and we have over $500 in prizes of Amazon gift cards for each school. So it's over $1,000 in prizes. So thank you very much to them for that. And all the documents at the end of the school year, everybody should go home with a paper copy, but they'll also be on the website as well in case you lose it or you need multiple copies. So that's open to all students. Now we move to our Title I reading support, and new this year, we've added in our students in our ELL programming, our English Language Learner programming. So this is a program that we've done for a while for our reading support students in grades, incoming grades 2 through 6, so that would be our current 1st through 5th graders. And if they receive additional reading support from our Tier 2 reading specialists, they will receive every 7 to 8 days in the summer a mailing. One, it might be a book. It might be a letter, handwritten letter from our teachers. It might be an activity that's grade related so that they can continue to practice. Our EL teachers have also said that they would like to do that as well this year. So they will be doing the same following the same schedule, allowing the book shopping for students in the EL programming. And then I'd like to highlight Nancy Miranda at the middle school and high school. She will be organizing a field trip. I didn't realize that there was a community garden at the high school. That was news to me. So some of our students in EL programming will be maintaining that this summer. They will be doing some math, reading, and writing support online with our high school teachers as well, just to get them prepared and ready for the fall for our students in our EL programming. So that's exciting. That's going to be between the two departments, almost 170 students that benefit from this. So that's really exciting. And then here's some examples. So our Mrs. Talene over at North Grafton Elementary School sent this wonderful letter, and students write back, and we love it. So it's not mandatory, but if you're looking for something to do, you'll get your passport points, and we're always happy to see this as well. And coming back this year, we will be offering an 8-day kind of like reading boot camp for our students currently in grade 1 Title I reading. It's going to, again, Mrs. Tulene has, thank you to her, she's offered to support our students for 8 days. And as you can see, July 25th for the August 4th. We've already sent out the invites to those students. They'll be getting an hour and a half of intervention every day for 8 days, just to dust off and prepare the kiddos for the middle of the summer, getting ready to go back to school, so that all their hard work over the school year in grade 1 isn't lost, so that we can keep them going. We invited 19 students in grade 1 who receive regular ed reading support. We have 8 yeses, 2 nos, and a few phone calls that I need to make. So if you did receive this notice at home, please send them in so that we can plan accordingly. And that was any questions? Yeah, I do want to. I didn't say this during the enrichment part, but we're taking registrations, parents, still until the end of May. So if anything catches your eye, please send in your registration. We have a few classes that are full. You can find the registration booklet on the Grafton Public School website, and you can also find the registration counts. Lynn Leofonte here in the office updates that for me, so I appreciate that very much. So she'll update on a regular basis so you know what's full and what's still available.
And that was my question.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, that sounds great. Thank you.
All right.
It's such a rewarding program. I love it.
I just wanted to say thank you. As I've said a million times, nobody outworks Lisa Rice. And just a few years ago, we had the initial discussion about summer enrichment, and even with COVID, we're up to, what did you say,
155.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good to see how this program has grown And actually, I was surprised when you said this was only our third year.
Real year, yes.
Because of, I mean, it's so in-depth, and thanks to the teachers, too, who put in their time to offer such great programming. And it's such a nice, inexpensive way for kids to have some kind of enrichment and education. And I love this new ELL support for the high. I mean, that's fantastic. And it's also going to help build community, too, for the families. And it's just fantastic. So thank you. And yeah, my question was just if there's any programs that you said were close to being able to run, if you want to help promote those or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, literally there are some for 7. And our teachers, even though 8's the minimum, some of our teachers will run programs for less just to make sure that the students have programming, and the lunch options back. So you could have a full day. You could drop your students off at the high school where there's some cool air, you know, and get a break from 8:15 to 2:45 every day. Like you said, pretty inexpensively. The average is about $80 a class, you know, so for $160 plus lunch. And we do offer discounting if you qualify for free and reduced lunch as well. So we want to make sure it's a program that everyone has access to.
That's terrific. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's always
This is
nice to
great.
see you.
Thank you.
And we are skipping over tonight the special education update. I believe that's on our next agenda.
It is.
Okay. And Jay, I was going to check in with Annabelle, but you can set up.
Okay.
If you want. Annabelle's next on the agenda. Do you have any updates?
So, yesterday was our first day back from April break, which means there's only 5 weeks left for the seniors. Some important dates: May 2nd, which is next Monday, is Decision Day, where all the seniors will go out onto the field and take pictures in their new schools, like dress up and stuff. May 6th, quarter 4 report cards are coming out. May 7th is prom. May 11th is an early release day.
Wow. That's fantastic information. All right. Any questions for Annabelle?
Oh, and next week is Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
I think there's some links around if parents and families are watching at home, you can sign up to help support that. I'm sure for every school. I know for GHS and GMS, and I'm sure that the elementary schools are handling it as well. So thank you to our amazing staff and teachers. We always appreciate you, but especially next week, we appreciate you more. All right. All right. Next, we're going to turn it over to the doctor.
We are going to talk about the superintendent evaluation, in particular the self-assessment that I shared with you, and it's in the materials for tonight's meeting. Just as a quick overview of the entire process that goes throughout the year, typically late summer, early fall, there's another self-assessment about the upcoming school year. We collectively take a look at the self-assessment, set up goals and a plan, implement the plan, have a mid-cycle review, typically January, February, and then in the spring have the summative evaluation. And part of that summative evaluation is another self-assessment, which again, I provided and I'll just touch on tonight. The actual superintendent evaluation is based on both goals and standards. I had 3 goals this current year. Have to have at least 2. We went with 3. As you may recall, we made them fairly broad and ambitious in scope. I'll most likely look to update those goals and stay within their framework for the next year. And then there are 4 standards set up by the state: instructional leadership, management, operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture. In terms of my self-assessment, my document's pretty long. I think it was 13 pages, but the positives, and I want to stress that any of the positives that come out of my self-assessment are 100% a reflection of the work of many people. Almost nothing that I do well is just me doing it well. Kristen Gasper is responsible for about 99% of my success. But I think I've been collaborative, and we've got a very collaborative leadership and staff. I believe we've identified and met the needs of the Grafton Public School community very proactively over the past year and previous years. We've had what I believe to be very effective ongoing communication with all of the different groups within our community. I think we've been exceptionally creative in our responses to all of the challenges faced this year. I mean, we have a super long list over the past 2.5 years, but this year, the one that really jumps out is probably staffing. And while I love to take full credit, of course, that's like a classic, perfect example. I may have been part of the process, but I can tell you Kristen Gasper and the HR department led the charge with the principals, and we were always able to somehow figure it out, no matter what the challenge was. And at every turn throughout the COVID experience, we were able to identify our needs and get out early. We did that every single time, and that served us amazingly well. I think we've been incredibly flexible in terms of responding to the needs of different groups, again, as needed. In terms of the self-assessment, I'll jump in a few minutes. I'll talk about next steps. Part of the next steps are going to be the provision of basically a template for the school committee members to use on TeachPoint. In that, you'll see that I rated myself as proficient in all 4 of the standard areas. The options for rating are exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, and unsatisfactory. Moving forward, thinking about in terms of needs, we want to, I've talked about this numerous times, and I assume I'll talk about it a lot more next year, is maintaining that focus on the strategic plan, figuring out collectively, administration and school committee, what we're going to really focus on and make sure we focus on that. It's abundantly clear that and it's not a bad thing, it's nobody's fault, but now post-COVID, it's going to be, let's kind of do everything we wish we had done for 3 years all at once, and that's a recipe for mediocrity at best. We're going to work to continue to identify and respond to student and staff needs. I think the need for that is going to be greater than ever. I mean, it seems sky high now. I'm not going to be surprised if it's even higher next year. And I think that might surprise some people. We've always utilized assessment data. We want to do a better job in the coming year of basically streamlining that process, like collecting data, not only from students participating in an assessment, any array of assessments, it's what you do with that. How do we collect it? How do we make it super easy to access? And then how do we utilize it in an ongoing way where it's not an event to help drive instruction, grouping for different units, professional development, in all kinds of ways. We should be using that data on a regular basis, as you would maybe your weight or your blood pressure, et cetera. So that across the district is going to be a big area of focus for us. It was about to be more of one pre-COVID and then took a step back. Now we're going to take hopefully 2 steps forward. And then increased connections, it certainly ties to the student and staff needs. But even certainly those who don't have like an unprecedented need, we want to do a better job having staff connect with one another, having staff connect with students, students to students, et cetera, across the district. So we've been talking a lot about relationships and connections. It looks a little different at the different levels, but I think it's critically important next year. But it's certainly always important. In terms of my goals for the current year that I'll be assessed on, I had improved communication of the school department budgetary needs for 23, coordination of student services, and strengthening our collective ability to meet the needs of all students. In terms of improving the communication of the budgetary needs, as you know, we had the new timeline this year. It definitely threw some curveballs at us. No surprise to all of you, but that jump to ClearGov, which we thought would be like 3 days, it felt like 3 months. It was probably 2 months. We've got a very healthy, great collaborative relationship with the municipal side, especially the town administrator, who's relatively new to the position. That's been fantastic. I touched on the ClearGov transition, so we've now made that jump. So that should set us up going forward to be in a very positive place in terms of the budget book and the direct correlation with what's happening on the municipal side. We just finished that ADA assessment that will be presented to the school committee on May 10th. And then this week, we are supposed to have a meeting with the school department, the municipal side, the TA, Mary, William, and Dan Gale to begin working on that long-range budgetary forecasting, which I think is going to be great. We should, if things go according to the plan, we should have a pretty good forecast in place in the next 2 or 3 months. In terms of increasing coordination and effectiveness of student services, over the past year, we added elementary counseling. That was a fantastic move. We continue to do some great work around our paraprofessionals. We have a lot of paraprofessionals, fantastic. The way that we've historically been set up with primarily one-to-ones, we want to work to move that to 1-to-2, 1-to-3 when we can. And if we have any excess as a result, shift those paraprofessionals to be classroom-based kindergarten paras, which we've never had in Grafton. We've developed, as I've talked about, specialized programming. We've strengthened that, and now this year we've shifted to transition programs from the school they were developed in, say North Street Elementary School, into the middle school. From middle school now going into the high school. So that's been a ton of work, but that's been fantastic. We continue to have one of the lowest rates of out-of-district placements in central Massachusetts. Kristen's been working tirelessly with the principals and our coordinators on developing a new professional development program that will have components that are for all staff, but also have components that are purely choice-based for staff, tied to PDPs and college credit. We've expanded that GHS intern program. That's been basically resuscitated. It took a knock due to COVID, but it's bounced back and then some. And we created basically a stipended position around the coordination of our adjustment counselors, which was feedback we received last year. We had great adjustment counselors, but they were all very balkanized and weren't connected. Now they are. And then the third goal was strengthen our collective ability to meet the needs of all students. We have a data system that we will be putting in place that's tied to a new assessment system. That is going to be presented at the meeting in June. I forget the date, the 15th maybe. So we're going to present on that, but I think that's going to be the foundational piece on which we can obviously build that use of data to improve on instruction and our ability to meet the needs of all kids. We modified the evaluation system. We basically streamlined that. It was really done with COVID in mind by the state to make it a little more simplistic, not as labor intensive in a time where everybody was stretched beyond thin. I don't know yet if they're going to pull back on that, but it's really worked. I don't think we've seen a decrease in the quality of the evaluations and what we're getting from them with less effort. So our hope is that they don't just shut that down and just go back to the old system. We'll see. Tracy in the high school has taken the lead in working with the middle school on introducing a new vaping cessation program. That's going exceedingly well. It's done as a pilot. I fully expect that to go into next year. And we are currently working on a school-based equity assessment at the high school. That's going to be presented either at the end of May or mid-June, whenever that meeting is. Assuming we can get that done by the end of the year, next year we will focus on the middle school, North Street, and Millbury Street. In terms of next steps, I've been working with Kristen and Lou Boudiette, who is the master of all things TeachPoint. If she hasn't emailed you already, tonight or tomorrow morning, she's already has it all set up. with instructions. You'll get a username, a password. She'll just walk you through it. Once you get into it, it's really not that complex. But if we do have any issues, you can contact myself, Kristen, or we'll have Lou Boudillette's information. She's terrific. And you'll essentially just go into each standard, see what I put in terms of my own self-assessment. You'll put your thoughts and your ratings. Those will go. Tomorrow I can work with Amy to figure out what that timeline is.
She and I talked.
Oh, okay.
So I can share of that.
Perfect.
She would like, if possible, us to have it completed by next Tuesday. So it gives you a week. If you need more time, reach out to Amy. But it's pretty self-explanatory,
Yep,
and it's
yep.
super helpful to have you do this now, Jay, too, I think. And it can give people an opportunity to ask you any clarifying questions. And
Yep.
if you have any questions, too, feel free to reach out to me or Jen. We've been through it a lot. So it's fairly self-explanatory, I think. Liz, you did it last year. You didn't seem to have any
No.
issues.
Didn't have any issues.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty.
once you send it, we'll all go to Amy. She will take bits and pieces, put it into one document, share that with everybody between now and Tuesday. Say, I can't think of a good day to do it, but you have a free weekend and you want to work on the evaluation. If you get stuck or need additional, you have questions, you want additional data on something, just reach out to me and I can certainly present that. I think that's it. I can take any questions.
Cool, thanks. Any questions for Jay? Quiet group tonight. I like it. All right.
Sorry,
Oh,
I just
Jen.
have one
Ah,
question.
here she
Sorry.
comes.
I know, it came in. I think it was a word that just stood out to me. When you were talking about the creation of adjustment councils coordination, is it a stipend? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
yeah.
Like, what are we, I thought who's coordinating or what's?
Patty Champy from the high school, our most experienced adjustment counselor. So she's a full-time adjustment counselor,
Oh, okay.
but gets a stipend to do additional work after
For the
school
other-
hours.
okay.
She brings them all together. They have a meeting at least every month, if not twice a month, which they didn't have before. They
So-
knew who each other was, but they really only met once.
Okay, like a department head type?
Yep,
stipend,
exactly,
okay.
but district-wide.
I think I was reading that the adjustment counselor was a stipend, and I think that threw me for a second.
It's probably my fault.
No,
But it's been great.
Paying attention.
It's
All right.
been a good investment. Patty's done a really nice job.
Jay, can I ask a quick question too? I don't know if this is really the time, but the vaping cessation program, I know it's in pilot. Is there any discussion about bringing that down to fifth and sixth grade?
I don't know.
Would there be?
Oh, yeah, there very well might be.
Yeah.
I can find out.
Could you just
I
find out, and if it is, and I know, like I said, I know it's in pilot, so they might not be ready, but once
Yep.
they're rolling it out, I think it would be really beneficial to bring that to the fifth and sixth graders
Yep,
before they get to middle school.
okay. That might be
Making age
that might be a little
appropriate.
more preventative.
Yep.
The program that we have is
Okay.
the kid gets caught vaping. Not
Oh,
that
I
it can't
forgot.
happen.
You're right.
Yeah.
But
And I think it's a program that's already been established. So
Yep, now I
That'd be-
was just thinking.
but we can.
Yeah,
I will
but I would
talk about the
still like
prevention.
a prevention
and,
program in fifth and sixth.
if it did happen, we'd have that to fall back on.
Right, okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thanks, Graciela, thank you. All right, any other questions? Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Future agenda schedule planning. I would say next, or in 2 weeks, is a pretty full meeting. We have the special education report, we'll have the superintendent evaluation, we'll have the ADA assessment, and if you took a look at that, that was a lengthy document, and then the budget update, is that still?
Yeah, that's just going to be FY
That
'22.
quick-
We usually do it the second meeting. I'm glad you brought that up. The reason we're going to push it off till then is then we'll have the entire April,
Okay.
and we have very few, if any, like contracted service paras. Like we're April helps us. Everything's great with April. So what I present,
That's great to hear.
the update will be good and healthy.
Excellent,
So yeah,
okay.
I'm thrilled.
So I would say we probably wouldn't want to add anything to next week, in 2 weeks, I mean, but if there is something, reach out, say Amy, and Jay. And it'll be Ms. Conley's last meeting. So I'll
So
be-
sad.
I'll be crying. So I'll be over there. All right. It is sad. All right, approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes, one from our regular meeting on the 5th, and then one from the policy subcommittee that went on the 4th.
Would you entertain a motion?
I would definitely entertain a motion, Ms. Spinney.
I move that the school committee accept the minutes from, 1 second. I'm just checking one thing as I'm reading this.
Okay.
Okay. I just saw something, I'm just checking if that's right. It is. The school committee minutes from April 5th, 2022 as presented.
Second. All right, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor? All right. Passes 4-0. The subcommittee minutes are behind it.
Okay.
Thank you, Kristen, for helping us with those. And when you're ready, I'll take a
Yeah,
motion.
sorry. I'm
No, it's okay.
Checking something.
Checking something. Checked those.
I guess I'm confused about what we have in our packet here.
Yeah, I think that's what's confusing.
So that's why I'm checking dates and everything. So we have in the agenda, we have the April 4th,
Yeah.
which I think is right.
That is right, and then they say April 4th on
And
the
then it-
minutes.
and then there's
April 5th.
Nope, well, not the one I have. If you turn over to the
On this
next
side, April
page,
5th, the minutes.
that's the public hearing minutes.
public hearing, and then we have,
So we have public hearing minutes, and then we have policy subcommittee meeting minutes, which are on the last page.
Oh, those ones.
So we have 3 sets of minutes, I guess.
Okay.
That was my mistake.
okay, because I have March
Yeah.
22nd.
March 22nd, school committee minutes.
Okay, but that's not on our agenda.
No.
So we still need to,
No.
that's
I'm
what's
just an
confusing me.
understudy, I got a call 2 hours ago.
I know, I'm
It had
just trying
nothing to do
to.
with this. Throwing everyone under the bus.
Okay.
Okay, so we have.
But you're
3
seeing the April 4th
The April
minutes
4th
in the
policy
April 4th meetings
subcommittee
are right
minutes
here.
are-
It's right here.
Right here.
It's after the the March 22nd minutes.
So we have April 5th
Oh,
public
that.
hearing.
Oh, they're in a
March-
different font, so it's
Yeah.
throwing me off.
Yes,
Okay,
right
I'm
here.
looking, that's why I'm looking over it. Okay.
So we don't have in the agenda the March 22nd. I think that's what you're.
Okay, that's why I was looking, okay.
I feel
So
like
let
we
me
can
take
still
care of this
approve
one.
them, even though they weren't on the agenda,
Yeah,
unless
I
people
was
are concerned
just
about that.
making sure that I was, yeah. And then the font threw me off. I wasn't seeing this.
Okay.
And it's
All
on the
right.
back page. All right. So, I move that I'm gonna do this one first. I move that the school committee accept the policy subcommittee meeting minutes of April 4th, 2022 as presented.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. And
And
then,
then-
do we feel comfortable approving the March
22nd.
22nd?
I didn't read it yet.
So we have the minutes from the public hearing.
But not the minutes from
Not the
the
regular
meeting.
meeting minutes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what's, I think, confusing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure this is
Yeah.
all.
So we had that
lined up
public
and
hearing,
straight.
which is considered a separate meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that threw me off too.
Okay, okay. Got it. All right, so I move that the school committee accept the March 22nd, 2022 school committee regular meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All right. So then next
Okay.
week we'll look for the April 5th regular
Yes,
meeting
regular
minutes,
meeting
and
minutes.
then hopefully these. Okay, perfect. Thank
It's
you.
labeled as March 5th on the book, that's why. Like, see, this is March 22nd, but this is April 5th.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't know. Well, maybe they. Okay, hold on then.
The key is that they're all.
This
we're
is
vo-
March. This is. I think we need to go back because these are actually April 5th. So we recognize, if you read them, that was our last meeting. So it seems like there was just an error in the date line.
On the top.
On the top, so she probably didn't copy and she probably didn't change it. But if you read the rest of the minutes, that's what we did at our last meeting. We honored Doreen, we heard from Julie. That was,
And that
feels like a
was-
lifetime ago, but it was two meetings ago.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, so I
All
just
right,
confused
that
myself.
does make more sense.
So this is what we did
Let's
last
see.
time. I don't know why it says March 22nd.
Okay,
I'm
so it's
guessing
not
it
March
was just a
22nd.
mistake, and
It's April 5th.
it's the April 5th minutes are already in here.
Okay.
All right, okay.
I
yeah,
think we just do a
those are the
re-
policies that we, okay, so the
Yeah.
mistake in the top of the minutes is just the
It's
the
a
date.
just a mistake. So I'm
Yep.
guessing she uses a template and forgot to change it, and we didn't catch it in time because usually
Okay.
we just read the minutes.
So like with any minutes, then we can
amend them.
amend them as we're.
Okay,
voting.
so why don't we revote
Okay.
with a new date, and we'll let Debney know to, we'll
Okay.
update this. Okay.
So, now, so we withdraw our previous vote. We don't need to do anything to do that, right?
Motion, vote, we're withdrawn.
Withdrawn, okay. I move that the school committee vote to approve the what are marked as the March 22nd, 2022, as amended to April 5th, 2022, school committee minutes, as presented.
Okay, excellent. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. It
All
does
right.
seem like a very long time ago, though, I feel like.
So the only issue is that little typo, and it just
Yeah, and it threw us, and the
threw us off
fonts.
to figure
Very
it out. But
confusing.
that's all.
All right, so we're good. Thank you.
It's all
We're
set
all
now.
good. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, we do have a warrant.
All right. Entertain another motion?
Yes.
All right.
Please.
I'll get there in just a second.
Take your time.
I move that the school committee accept warrant number 43, effective date April 22nd, 2022, in the amount of $413,031.58.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Okay, all those abstaining? I'm abstaining. All right, motion carries 3-1-0. Thank you. Okay, and then Liz, I'm gonna throw it over to you for policy.
Okay.
These are all second readings,
Yeah.
so it shouldn't be any new information.
All of these were discussed at our April 5th meeting, and the discussions in the minutes that we just voted on, which is also in the packet again. And so they're presented today with all of the edits that we made in clean copy so that we can look at it. I will go through them. I have my copy from April 5th up in front of me so I can remember what we did for edits instead of having to jog my memory.
Ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It seems like a lot has happened since then. So the first one, EEAER, regarding bus driver requirements, we mostly fix this as part of our ongoing effort to improve the inclusivity of the language in some of our policies. And we also changed like paragraph 9 to improve to make it reflect reality in which the bus driver should contact the dispatcher, not the highway department. Those were basic changes. And then we made some changes to under safe operation, paragraph 3, we better described, we think, what would happen if a child is trying to exit the bus at an inappropriate time. And so that's the first one. We also another part of our ongoing effort is changing from parent specifically to guardian. So we did that in this one as well. This was a long one.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then we changed the RMV, the reference to the RMV requirements to make that reflect the current reality as well. So any questions about that one? Would you like to vote on each of these separately or as a group?
I think we can do a group vote unless somebody has any advanced concerns. I think
They
they're
are
pretty-
all about buses.
Yeah, they're not very controversial, I don't think. But, okay.
I'll keep going.
If you do
then.
have a hold, you could hold We'll do it like town meeting.
Town meeting can hold. EEAEC, regarding student conduct on buses. All we really did was improve the language, made it more inclusive and up to date. Let's see, that one we deleted. So the next one is EEACR, Code of Behavior on School Buses. We just made a very small change to, and we edited the English version of behavior to the one that we use, and included vaping and drug use as well as forbidden acts on school buses, as well as smoking. So it should be. And then EEAF, special use of buses. We just, again, updated the language from pupils to students. Other than that, that remained the same. So pretty small changes with these, but yeah, part of an ongoing effort that we're trying to do in all of our policies that we review on a regular basis.
Thank you, Liz. Any other questions for the policy subcommittee? All right, I will entertain a motion then, and you can just probably name all the policies as a second reading. Okay.
I make a motion to accept policy EEAER, bus driver requirements training as a second reading. EEAC, student conduct on buses as a second reading. EEACR, code of behavior on school buses as a second reading. And EEAF, special use of buses as a second reading.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion approved. Thank you, Liz.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and next up, we have member reports coming off of a spring break. Do we have any? I have a quick one. One is just from the ARPA team. You should have seen, hopefully, a survey that went out. It's gone out on social media. You can get a hard copy print at the library. And we're looking for community input. So if you would like to fill that out, please do. And that's going to help us decide on how we're going to spend the money that we have left after we're taking care of the HVAC system at the middle school and some website updates and I think some sewer updates, as well as just our stabilization for nurses if we need them. So after that, it's open to the public. We tried to make it, there are certain things that ARPA can only be spent on, and you do have to spend it in a certain amount of time. So we couldn't kind of just save money for projects that might come down the line. But there is an other, so if you're concerned and there's something you're passionate about and it's not on there, put in the other. And then along those lines, on May 11th, we will be having an open session for people to come and talk to us. It'll be at the public library at 7 o'clock. So we'd hope to see any folks there for that. So that's exciting. And then I guess a reminder about, I'm going to really show ignorance just because of my date problem. Is town meeting the 9th or is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So May 9th.
Seems early.
It
Wow.
seems
Yeah.
early, but elections are following.
yeah.
So we
Second
don't meet
Monday.
again, I don't think, before. So obviously, we're voting on our budget that night. We're asking for approval for that. We have the CPC funds for the South Grafton Elementary School. And we'd love for the community to come out and support the schools as well as supporting your town. This is where you have a voice. So love to see you there. It's always a really fun evening. Laughs from the audience.
Laughing.
I love it. But I think that's it for me. Anybody else?
Not for me.
Oh, it seems like
Loving this meeting.
well, vacation kind of like
I
puts
know.
like a
I hope everybody
nice
took a skip.
refresher.
I
Yeah.
hope people had some time off. We didn't receive any correspondence that I'm aware of. We do not have to get into executive session. I'll take a motion to adjourn at 8:04.
Move to adjourn.
Woo! Any
Second.
second? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,